Welcome to this special episode of In Focus. In the audience today, we are joined by the Entertainment Money Management class from the College of Business and Economics. I'm your host, Gabriela Machuca, and we have Hollywood producer, writer, and president of GMT Films, Germán Michael Torres. Thank you for coming to chat with us today.
Thanks. I'm excited.
Thanks. I'm super excited too. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'll start with the professional stuff. I'm a producer, which means I find content or stories that I want to tell, and then I figure out how to package it, which is like financing and putting together all the elements. And then I go out to the community, Hollywood community, to see if I can sell it or raise money to fund it. And then I supervise the production or the development of the script, supervise the production, and then in post, which is post-production, I supervise that. And then I get to have fun at the premiere and walk the red carpet and finally enjoy, the fruits of my labor.
Yeah, it's always super fun.
Yes.
So you did touch on that you're a producer.
Yes.
What kind of producer are you?
I get this question a lot. It's like, there's so many different kinds of producers. I think, based on my experience and other producing mentors, I'm a creative producer. Nowadays, because of the way the industry is, I have to actually physically produce, but normally I read scripts, find the content, read a book, or find a story that I think would be a great movie or TV show. And then I would try to develop it, put it together, sell it, and then hand it off to a physical producer. But because now things are just kind of merging, I'm forced to do the stuff that I don't like to do. I don't like being on set, although everyone's like, I love being on set. That's just not my thing. So I'm a creative producer. I like stories, telling stories, reading stories, finding universal themes that touch people in a profound way. Like that, to me, is producing.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. In comparison to other producing roles, you are a creative producer. Can you explain to us what the other types of producers are?
It's like, there's like the party planning producer, where it's like, you gotta, sometimes we call a line producer, where they focus on the budget, they hire the crew, they kind of keep the train moving. And if there's a problem, then they come to me because I'm the main producer or the lead producer. Then there's producers who come underneath that, whether it's associate producer or co-producer. And then they have specific roles, to help the line producer or the lead producer. And then there's the post producer, who just handles all the editing, the workflow, special effects, VFX, and then that's it. I mean, there's executive producers, and that role is shifting. Like typically it used to be executive producer would raise money for the film. Now it's just kind of loose. So if somebody could contribute something significant to get the film up and running, they usually give them an executive producer credit.
So jumping back to what you actually do as a creative producer, you also set up projects and package your potential. How do you set up a project or package it for potential investors?
Well, I've been in the business for a while. So I was at this really big agency called ICM. Another big agency, CA, bought them. So they don't exist anymore. But they kind of taught me what packaging means, which is finding the story, attaching elements. Elements could be a writer-director, an actor, and money. Anything that makes the project feel noisy and sellable is what I call elements, and putting it together is packaging. Once I have that, I could figure out who in the business would want to buy something like that. So if it's like a Warner Brothers movie, if it's a Netflix movie, Hulu's different than Apple, and I try to just go to buyers who I think will have an appetite for what I have. It's just sales. It's like, or I go to those outlets or those studios and I ask them, what are you looking for? What do you want? And every cycle they have an idea of what kind of movies they want to make or what kind of series they want to make, what genres are popular during any season or cycle. And then I reverse engineer. I go, okay, Paramount Plus, looking for a young adult horror, high school slasher movie. So then I go out, try to find that story or try to find writers who write that and I just it's kind of messy. I just put things together. It's kind of like dating, right? You're just like, you're going out, it's like, how do you find a husband or a wife? You're like, what? You just got to keep going out, figuring out what works. And relationships and connections are just a lifelong endeavor and goal, and they really are important to do what I do. So I have like 20 plus years. Right out of high school, I went into the business. So all those relationships cash in later. So it's kind of hard to answer like in one sentence because it's messy. But relationships really help me get in the door so that I can sell these things that I put together.
Mm-hmm. And that ties in actually to one of our questions from the audience, which is, when pitching to streamers, what do they look for in projects right now? And also, how do you handle rejection in Hollywood and turn a no into a possible future yes?
Well, because I have those relationships, I have agents and managers who also help me. I just ask what people are looking for. It's pretty simple. It's not like there's no magic formula here. Because I was close to Netflix for about 2 years, I was courting them. I pitched a bunch of stuff to them. They keep passing and passing and passing. And then finally, I just realized, they do Christmas movies. And I'm Latin, so I wanted to do like a Latin vibe Christmas movie. So I went to Netflix and I said, what about this idea? So it was like the 100th one, and they said, that's great. So they did it. It's just trial and error and like doing it over and over and over again. It's a numbers game. So how do I deal with the rejection? I get used to it. It's just like anything else. Like, actors complain about how many auditions they do. They do 100, and that 101 is the one that they book. So I think, Netflix, just because it was a couple years ago, that took a while.
No, definitely. And then you talked about how you have these packages and that you're getting them ready, and despite the rejections and the yeses and nos, how do you make sure that your package is Hollywood ready?
I don't know whether I do what I believe in, and I think, if I'm passionate about it, I think it really spills over to the buyer. And if it has like a theme that's universal and relatable, I think it affects people. The execs are so busy. When you come in with a story that they kind of relate to, it helps them want to buy it. And at the end of the day, there are no rules, even though there's a system. So it's like, you watch television, you watch movies, and something can spark. And then, because I'm already in the business, I make sure that all the elements are stellar so that I don't give them any chance to say no. It's just trial and error experience. And then as far as the idea is concerned, any idea, look at Sharknado. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw Sharknado, but like somebody thought of that and it did really well. It had like 4 or 5 versions of that. So you never know. You never know. I wouldn't do Sharknado.
So Sharknado
Sorry,
wasn't.
Guys, I know the guys in Sharknado.
So Sharknado wasn't universally themed to you, but per your taste, what is a universally themed project?
I think something that captures the human experience. I tend to, even if it's a horror, I've done a bunch of horror movies, and I do rom-coms, and I think they're similar. Not that dating is a horror story, but it could be. But like there is a sense of like a journey through your life. I know it sounds really broad and vague, but like Sharknado is not that. Or the movies are not like that. So even if it's a horror movie, it's like, what fear do I think humans typically fear? So what's universal about this story? That's kind of how I approach all projects. Or love.
Love.
Like the experiences we have dating or being heartbroken, and sometimes we go, man, I wish I could do that over again. That's a great concept. But what if you could do it over again? What if you had that date as many times as you want? And that's a movie right now, or there's a bunch of movies like that. So it's just kind of like wish fulfillment, universal themes.
Circling back to networking, do you have any advice for students and fresh graduates that want to establish relationships in the industry?
Yes. Coming to things like this, by the way, going to like panels, workshops. All universities have like, panels and stuff that you can look up and participate. You don't have to go to the school necessarily. or just film festivals that have panels and workshops, because then you start to know the players. And a sneaky thing is, and this is not that sneaky anymore, but like you find out who it is, like I'm here now, and then somebody could email me or look on my website and say, I was really impressed with what you said, and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden now there's communication. And then someone may say, I'm writing this script. I like what you said, and you're like, you have any pointers? All of a sudden you build this relationship, even if it's superficial, but you wouldn't know who that person was until you get out there. And film festivals, school panels, workshops, those are the best. And then you just stalk them and try to get their emails, try to get the emails or something. There's always a way to connect to them.
And this ties into actually one of our student questions, which is how can students or emerging creatives start networking effectively without seeming pushy?
I think what you do is you don't contact the person and say, I have something, can you help me? You kind of compliment them, that person. You say, look, I saw your movie Christmas with You and it really touched my heart. I want to do movies like this. Flattery will get you everywhere or further along. And then through that conversation, you find a moment where you're like, oh, I have this script that all those things you were talking about in the email that kind of capture that. And then you'll feel a moment where you're like, can you read this? Or so you're not pushy. You're starting off with complimenting them and telling them that they inspired you and that kind of stuff. So it's all about them, and everyone likes to hear about themselves. So, and then you slide in like, oh, I got a project, as opposed to coming out of the gate like, I've been working on the script for 5 years and whatever. It's just a more humanistic way of going about it.
Human approach.
Yeah, the human approach. It's always about human nature.
Mm-hmm. And I do see that you are very community and human-oriented. You created PLIE, P-L-I-E, Professional Latinos in Entertainment.
Yes.
So what do you think is the importance of organizations that highlight and champion minority voices?
Yeah, I think for any community, you need community. It takes a village to do anything in this town. And any business takes a village. So if you can, I felt like my 20 years or something experience, I feel like people are trying to get into the business, if we're talking about Latinos specifically, it's so hard to break in. And I didn't have any of that kind of community, when I was starting. And even now I still need community in terms of my circle. So I felt like it'd be kind of cool to create an organization that we, all professional Latinos like myself, can offer, can just kind of crack the door open a little bit, or at least share knowledge and like guidance and stuff that I didn't have when I was doing it.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned,
it's important.
Oh, yeah. No, it's super important.
Yeah, it's like a family.
It is. You mentioned your younger self, so one of our questions from our students is, if you could give advice to your younger self starting out, what would it be?
Don't be a producer. Just kidding. There's so many easier ways to make money. What would it be? I would just, actually I kind of did this, but I was kind of wandering around trying to break in. Is just, don't be afraid of those no's, and don't be afraid to ask for things. Oftentimes tiptoeing around and being polite and all that is great because you want people to like you, but there's a certain point where it becomes diminishing in terms of how advanced you can get. You have to, there's a way to do it, but you got to ask and not be afraid to voice your opinion or just be vocal. I was too kind of quiet, I think, in the beginning. Took longer.
But you're here now. So.
But I'm here now. Now I'm going to talk, all the time. I was going to say a bad word, but I can't. So
you made it out the other end. So the industry has changed a lot recently. Yeah. We've had the strikes, we've had the pandemic, and now AI is another force. What advice do you have for producers and aspiring producers given all of these circumstances currently?
You just have to be nimble. You got to figure out ways to adapt. As far as AI is concerned, I know there's a lot of pushback on that. I use it, admittedly, for things to accelerate what used to take forever. For instance, one sheets was just like a pitch. I'd have to get a writer to do that. I still need writers, but I have all these ideas that I feel like I need to flesh out, and it takes forever. With the AI, it's a tool. It's not a replacement. I can just do like 4 or 5 pitch docs for different movies, like in like 15 minutes, and to try to. You still have to prompt it. You still have to be creative and all that. But it's just a helpful tool. It's not a replacement, because I still need to go to writers, and they still need to really. You need a human to write it. So that's the way I adapted to that. So I think adaptation is the key. And again, you got to be scrappy. You got to like figure it out and ask people, and you got to surf with that tide. It sucks, but
Resiliency, creativity.
Yep. You got to figure it out. And I think that's a natural skill that we have just in general.
Yeah.
You just have to really understand the business. And if you don't love the business, it's going to be very hard for you to survive. You have to breathe, eat, live that business and understand it. And it's like anything else. If you want to go into like stocks or whatever, or banking, like you really have to study what that industry is.
So research.
Using
your tools. What other skills and qualities do you think all amount to a successful producer?
Patience, communication skills, and like, not tenacity, but like, tenacity.
That's great. And then for our students, we have the question, how do you balance creative freedom with industry demands? So budgets, deadlines, market, friends, research.
It's tough. It's very difficult. There's always going to be an argument about what we think that, let's say what we think a scene should be, or a character should be, versus what the execs or whoever's paying for what they want. And then there's also budgetary. But I find that sometimes the balance is listen to their issues. If you don't have enough money, let's say, and you're doing a small budget, and you wrote a script that has really big action scenes, for instance, because you don't have money, you have to reimagine how to shoot the scene or how to make that scene more affordable. And it always works out for me and a lot of my peers. It always works out. The scene's better, like, because of necessity. Like you're forced to be creative, and you're forced to figure it out because you don't have money, or because this exec is just crazy, and for some reason, like you're angry, but you start to experiment. And you go, you know what, this is better. Maybe we don't need a car chase. Maybe he could just walk in and shoot the guy. Like it seems like it works out all the time. It's a crazy phenomenon.
Key to keep you going.
Yeah, it's just, you have to just get dirty, dig in, and not be so personal and precious about everything. And like, it is a business, so if you want to keep working, there's a little give and take. But it's, I promise, the work comes out better. It's like friction. Creating a diamond, you need that pressure, and it works.
Yeah, you come out shining.
It may not be fun. So I have more gray hair than I deserve, but it's okay. But it
looking
works.
Great.
It works. Thanks. It works.
So currently there's a trend of IP-centered content being widely produced. How do you advise producers approach intellectual property?
I think, first, I think if you're beginning, I think IP is great because it's flashy, it's noisy, and it helps you get a leg up as opposed to an original idea, unfortunately. For me, the first thing I sold to the Sci-Fi Channel was a series of books. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like 21 or something. I went to a bookstore and I just saw the back of the jacket, the back of the jackets of the book of sci-fi books, because sci-fi books have really cool ideas and premises, and I would just read it to see if it was like kind of a cool concept for a series. But I couldn't compete with all the big guys, so I went to like authors that were like books that were so old. The fact that you have a book, though, it's kind of hot for Hollywood. Like, they think there's something cool here because it's produced already. But the books I found were so old, and like I called the manager, and I'm like, I want to make this a TV show. I had no credits experience, and they were like, what? And they said, sure. And I just did like a free option. They gave me a free option for a couple months, which I needed more than 3 months, but I didn't know what I was doing. And it's trying to find those things that no one else is looking for. That's kind of the essence of this long-winded answer. And for me, it was books that no one really paid attention to. And it became a series for Sci-Fi Channel, and it was 22 episodes, and that was the first thing I did.
There you go. You succeeded.
Yes.
Yeah, you got that through.
Yes, yes. So yeah, find that thing that no one's looking at.
On the subject of IP, how do producers navigate copyright acquisition?
Let's get my lawyer to do it. You just get lawyers to do it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's pretty black and white. There's certain processes to get the copyrights for something. Sometimes it's tricky. I'm doing a movie right now that was a pretty big movie in the 80s, but I have the rights to the actual story of this family, of what happened to this family. And even now I have complete rights to everything. And even now there's some, legal threats. But, you need a good team around you. At first, you just need to find the idea. And once you get into the mix of it, then ask for professional help, like a copyright lawyer.
Aside from lawyers, producers also have reps, agents, or managers.
Yeah.
So when do you think is the right time to get representation for a producer?
I think producers don't. It's really weird to rep a producer. So most of the time, reps are for writers, directors, talent, and almost every other part of the business. Producer, for some reason, because we generate our own stuff, you don't need an agent. I think at some point, when you're getting started, someone can help you introduce you to execs or have access to directors that you need to help the package look attractive. So in that case, I think as soon as you can, but you'll find that if you're a producer, you're generating your own stuff, you're getting in there, you're meeting people on your own, because you can't wait for the reps, or else you'll never make it. Yeah. So it's a weird. Producers don't have traditionally reps in that way that actors do, or writers and directors. But anyone who can help you meet people, get them.
On that note, any advice on how to handle agents and managers as you're trying to get your project developed?
We have to find the right fit, like someone who believes in you. Managers are better because they're supposed to be the long game, like a career. Agents are kind of like, whoever's watching this probably going to give me a call, like, you really think of us that way? Yeah, they're just like numbers game. They're kind of like sales. So managers are great, and then they'll find an agent for you. That's like their job. Two, you're your own agent and manager anyway. Like, no one's going to care about you more than you. So managing them is just as much as of a job of them managing you. So you got to keep calling them and kind of doing your own research, and then they're there to assist, not to just do everything for you, because they won't. You just have to keep getting them involved, and sometimes agents and managers can work together, but you have to bother them all the time.
So you've got a wide variety of content, everything from your paranormal TV show to your Christmas film. What kinds of stories get your attention and make you sign on and say, yes, I will produce this?
Something high concept. I know it's vague, but like something that, it's like wish fulfillment again. It's just something that we wish we could have done in our own lives. Kind of a love story that we wish would happen to us. Again, if it's like, I would hate to be in a situation because that'd be really scary. And if there's a movie that captures that, that's what excites me. Something that's like I wonder what would happen if, or I wish this could happen to me. Those are kind of like my leads.
So on that note, do you have anything in the works right now that you can share with us?
Yeah, that movie I'm excited about. We're in post. It's a supernatural. It's a horror movie that's based on true story. Heather Graham's in it. It's great. It's going to be in theaters soon. My producing partners produced Insidious, Paranormal Activity, and It, and just came out with Weapons. And so I'm with a good team. So I'm excited. You guys better all see that at some point. The title will come out soon. But yeah, I'm excited about that.
No, definitely. So everyone, stay tuned. Thank you for joining us today on this special episode of In Focus, where we're discussing all things producing. And we want to thank Michael Torres for sharing his experience and legacy with us. Until next time, I'm Gabriela Machuca, and this has been a special episode of In Focus.